You didn't turn down the Super Bowl because of performance footage?
No.
Okay.
And no. Well, here's the thing. Like Jay-Z has always been very good to me.
Yes.
Our teams are really close. Like it's like they sometimes will call and say, "How does she feel about?"
Yeah.
And that's not like an official offer or an official or like a conference room conversation.
It's just a
like
feeling
our teams
out.
are really close. How does she feel about it in general? And we're always able to like tell him the truth, which is that like I am in love with a guy who does that sport on that actual field. Like that is violent chess. That is gladiators without swords. That is dangerous. Wow. I am the whole season, I am locked in on what that man is doing on the field. Can you imagine if like he's out there every single week, like putting his life on the line, doing this very dangerous, very high pressure, high intensity sport. And I'm like, I wonder what my choreo should be.
Taylor Swift appeared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, where she finally addressed the swirling rumors around her potential Super Bowl halftime show performance and her connection to Jay-Z. For years, fans, sports commentators, and media outlets have speculated about Swift headlining the most-watched musical event in America, especially given her skyrocketing stardom and her relationship with Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. With each passing Super Bowl, the questions grew louder. Would Taylor Swift ever take on the halftime stage? Would her connection to Kelce, a key player in the NFL's dominant franchise, push her to accept the invitation everyone assumed was coming? Swift, who had attended both the 2024 and 2025 Super Bowls in support of Kelce and the Chiefs, had maintained her silence as speculation raged. But during her candid conversation with Fallon, she set the record straight for the first time. She started by acknowledging just how grateful she was for the support she received from Jay-Z, whose company Roc Nation now oversees the programming and creative direction of the Super Bowl halftime show. Here's the thing, Jay-Z has always been very good to me, Swift said, making clear that there was no drama or hidden feud behind her absence from the halftime stage. She explained that while there had been informal conversations about how she might feel about performing at the Super Bowl, there was never a formal offer or a high-stakes meeting in a boardroom. Instead, the conversations were casual, more of a, how does she feel about it in general, than a signed contract or an official proposal. She described the way people would float the idea, wondering how she'd feel about stepping onto that massive stage in front of over 100 million viewers. But she said it never moved past that exploratory phase. Swift then dove into the real reason she had turned down what many saw as a career-defining opportunity. The truth, she revealed, was deeply personal. She said, "I am in love with a guy who does that sport on that actual field." With that, she made it clear that her heart and focus during those games were entirely on Kelce and his teammates, not on choreography or set lists. She called football violent chess, highlighting the intense pressure and danger Kelce faces every single week as he competes at the highest level. "For the whole season, I am locked in on what that man is doing on the field," she said. She laughed as she described the absurdity of trying to plan a halftime show while worrying about Kelce's well-being, picturing herself thinking, should I do 2 verses of Shake It Off into Blank Space into Cruel Summer? That would be great. The image of Taylor Swift, America's biggest pop star, sitting in the stands, her mind racing not with set-list ideas but with hope and anxiety for the man she loves, painted a striking picture. Despite the headlines linking her decision to Kelce, Swift insisted that the choice has nothing to do with the NFL star. She was clear that her commitment to Kelce and her desire to be present for him during the season were genuine. But the halftime show wasn't a rejection of her own career or ambitions. Swift's comments squashed rumors that her attendance at the games was a sign she was primed for a halftime spot. She had been right there in the crowd in 2024, cheering Kelce and the Chiefs on as they eked out a 25-22 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. And again in 2025 when they fell 40-22 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Her appearances, often shown on the big screen and broadcast to millions, only fueled speculation that a halftime performance was imminent, especially as she became a fixture in the NFL's biggest games and a beloved presence among Chiefs fans. Yet, as she told Fallon, her role at the Super Bowl was always that of a supporter, never a headliner. The speculation didn't die down even after Bad Bunny, the Puerto Rican superstar, was announced as the 2026 halftime performer, making history as the first male Latin artist to ever headline the event. His selection came after a string of high-profile shows featuring Kendrick Lamar, Usher, Rihanna, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and The Weeknd, all of whom had delivered memorable performances watched by hundreds of millions. Swift's name had topped wish lists for years, with fans eager to see her bring her vast catalog of hits to the Super Bowl stage, but she reiterated to Fallon that it was never in the cards, at least not for now. She said that the idea was floated informally but never pursued, and that she had always been upfront about her priorities during football season. Swift said the timing never felt right, and that she wanted to be present for Kelsey, not rehearsing and planning while he was risking everything on the field. As the conversation continued, Fallon asked about the dynamic between her and Kelsey, especially during the high-stakes moments of the Super Bowl. Swift laughed, describing the tension of watching someone you care about play a dangerous, high-pressure sport in front of millions of people. She said her adrenaline was always through the roof, her eyes glued to the field, every play a potential turning point. She described sitting in the stands, surrounded by fans and cameras, but only able to focus on Kelsey, her heart pounding as she watched him run routes, make catches, and take hits. She said she barely noticed the spectacle around her, the halftime shows, the celebrities, the cameras. All that mattered was Kelsey and the Chiefs. Subscribe for more exclusive stories and inside details. Swift described her experience at the 2024 Super Bowl, where Kelsey and the Chiefs narrowly defeated the 49ers, and the joy she felt watching him celebrate with his teammates. She remembered the energy in the stadium, the confetti falling, and the thrill of being part of something so historic. She said the win was unforgettable, a moment they would always share, and that she was grateful to have been there. She contrasted that with the disappointment of the 2025 Super Bowl when the Chiefs lost to the Eagles. She said the loss was tough, but that she was proud of Kelsey and the team for making it that far. She said the highs and lows of football were part of what made the experience so intense, and that she admired Kelsey's resilience and dedication. Swift also reflected on the speculation that her presence at the games was a sign she was preparing to headline the halftime show. She said she understood why fans might think that, but that her reasons for being there were always personal. She was there to support Kelsey, to share in his triumphs and setbacks, and to be part of his journey. She said football season was a time for them to come together, to support each other, and to celebrate their love. Swift addressed the speculation about Jay-Z's involvement, saying he had always been generous and supportive, but that there was never any pressure to perform. She said Roc Nation had reached out informally, asking how she felt about the idea, but that she never felt obligated to say yes. She said Jay-Z understood her priorities and respected her decision. She said she was grateful for his friendship and guidance, and that she looked forward to supporting the halftime show as a fan. Swift then talked about her busy schedule during football season, balancing her career with her relationship. She said it was a challenge, but that she and Kelsey made it work. She described late-night flights, early mornings, and long rehearsals, but said it was all worth it to be there for each other. She said they supported each other's dreams, and that their relationship was built on mutual respect and understanding. She mentioned that the 2026 Super Bowl would be held at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California, and that she hoped to be there if the Chiefs made it back. She said she would be cheering Kelsey on from the stands, just as she had the past 2 years. She said she was excited to see what the future held, both for her career and her relationship. Swift also spoke about the impact of her relationship on her music, saying Kelsey inspired her to write new songs and explore new themes. She said their love had given her a new perspective, and that she was excited to share that with her fans. She said music and football had become intertwined in her life, each bringing her joy in different ways. She said she was grateful for the support of her fans and that she looked forward to continuing to create and perform. She ended the interview by thanking Fallon for giving her the chance to share her story and by expressing her appreciation for the fans who had supported her through every chapter of her journey.